Translating Perl to assembly language. In this video, we are going to see how to take a Perl if-then-else structure and write assembly language code using compare, the CCR register, the comparison register, jump, and the three conditional jumps, jump greater than, jump less than, and jump equal to. It may be helpful if you download the Machine Language Instructions PDF from Canvas, so you have that in front of you as we proceed. The compare command looks at the contents of R and compares it to the contents of the memory address specified. The contents of the comparison register, CCR, is changed. We use compare to create an if statement. The comparison register has 3 bits. The first bit represents greater than, the middle bit represents equal to, and the last bit represents less than. At any one time, only one of these bits can be turned on. If the result of comparison is greater than, we see that we have a 100. One bit is turned on. If the result of the comparison is equal to, the middle bit is turned on. Lastly, if the comparison results in a less than, then the rightmost bit is turned on. Only one bit can be on at any one time in the CCR. An easy way to remember this is the result of a greater than gives you the biggest possible value, 100. Less than gives you the smallest value with one bit turned on. Equal to is kind of in the middle. The 1 balances out the 2 zeros. We've got several jumps. The jump command changes the flow of the program by changing the program counter. The operand of the jump can point to either a prior line or a subsequent line. Jump by itself is unconditional. When it executes, it will always transfer location to whatever is specified by the operand. Jump greater than, equal to, less than, and not equal to are all dependent upon the value at that point in time of the comparison register. If CCR is 100, then a jump greater than will execute. If it's any of the other values, it will not execute. Jump equal to will only change the flow if the value is 010, and jump less than will only change the flow if the value is 001. So let's look at an example. Right now the program counter is pointing to 24, so we're looking at this line of code. And it says jump 28. So what we're going to do is be the computer, we fetch it, we put the jump, we have the instruction register, we put a jump 28 in the instruction register. We figure out what it's going to do. It says change the program counter to 28. We'll do that. So we executed the instruction. Now, up till now we've said we always increment the pointer to the next instruction. We only do that if we didn't change the program counter previously. The jump 28 says change the program counter to 28. So since we've already changed the program counter, we will leave it at 28 and not increment it any further. The compare command. We're going to see how the compare command changes the comparison register and the impact it has on our conditional jumps. Jump less than, jump equal to, and jump greater than. Our program counter says 14. So So looking at line 14, we have a load 101 that says take the value that's in location 101 and store it in the register. So the register now has the value 8. We're done with that. We'll increment our program counter by 1 to 15, and we look at the compare. Compare 100 says look at the contents of location 100, which is a 2, and see how it compares to our register. And the register has an 8. Well, the comparison of the 2 is less than 8. So we will make our CCR an 001 because 2 is less than 8. We now increase our program counter by 1 to 16, and we look at this jump statement. Jump less than 19. Well, the less than says if the comparison register is 001, then go to line 19. Well, the comparison register is 001, so we will change the program counter to 19. We're now done. Our next statement is not going to be 17 or 18. Our next statement is going to be 19. So we will continue with the load command and then move forward as we normally would with any assembly language program. Let's look at a slightly different compare. I've changed the value contained in 100 to 42. Our program counter is again 14, so we're going to load 101, 8. The value 8 is going to get placed into the register R. We'll increment our program counter to 15, and now we're up to doing a compare. Compare 100. We want to see how the contents of 100, the 42, compares to the register, 8. Well, 42 is greater than 8. So that's going to produce a 100 in our comparison register. We're done with our compare. We go to line to program counter 16. Jump less than says we will jump if the comparison register is 001. Well, this is not 001. So we move now to 17. 17 says jump if the comparison register is 010, if it's equal. The comparison register is not 010. So we increment our program counter by 1 to 18. Line 18 says, look at the comparison register. If it is 100, we'll jump to line 22. Well, it is 100, so we will change that to 22. What that means is we do not do 19, 20, or 21. We jump to line 22 and continue from there. These steps will help you to construct an assembly language equivalent of a Perl if statement. It may be helpful if you had the Translate Perl if else to assembly language document, which can be found on Canvas, and have that in front of you. We're going to follow these 9 lines in order, and on the next slide we'll actually put them to use. We'll start off by loading B. We'll then compare A. Next we write down the 3 jumps in any order, and depending upon the comparison, we will determine which ones of these are if true. The line directly after our 3 jumps is the first line of the if true. We then write our if true code. At the end of the if true code, we will put down an unconditional jump. The line that follows is the beginning of our is false, and we can use it to fill in addresses here. we write our if false code, and lastly, after our if false code, we come back together, and we can use where we come back together as our address for jump. Let's take what we just saw and put it into practice. We've got a simple Perl program, an if, and a print. C is equal to A is our if true. C is equal to B is our if false. And lastly, we come back together at the print statement. I'm going to follow these in order. Load B. B is 101. Load 101. Compare A. A is in 100. We next write down our 3 jumps in any order. So let's write down jump equal to, jump greater than, and jump less than. We do not yet know the operands for these 3. So we're going to put underlines there so we know to come back to it. The next line is the beginning of the if true. So line 5 is going to be our if true. Looking at our comparison, we have a greater than. So the greater than is going to get 5. We're now ready to write our if true code. C is equal to A. Well, to do that, we need to load A. And then store it into C. And we're done with our if true code, so we write down an unconditional jump after that. So just jump. But we don't know the operand yet, so we leave it blank. The line after the jump is the address of the false. So 8 is going to be our falses. And our false is going to be whenever we're not greater than. So if it's equal to, that's not greater than, it gets an 8. And less than, we get an 8. We need to write our code for if false. So we're going to do a load B and store it in C. B is in 101. We're going to store C. 102. We're done with our if true. That means our next line of code at line 10 is where we come back together for the print. So we know we can put that 10 at the unconditional jump here. So that gets a 10. Print C is out, and C would be 102. At the end of our program, we have a halt. We loaded the item on the right, B. We compared the item on the left, C. We wrote down our 3 conditional jumps. We then saw that our if true began at 5. We put the 5 on the greater than because we had greater than in our code. We wrote our if true code, all load in our store. We put down an unconditional jump. We know that the next line is where the if false begins. So line 8, we went back and filled in the equal to and less than. We wrote our if false code. And we come back together outside of our if at the print statement, line 10. So 10 went into that jump. That's the end of translating Perl to assembly code. If you have any questions or concerns, send me an email, come to my virtual office hours, reach out to me. Be well.